You know how it goes by now. Every episode, I showcase some music from a classic parkour video, different one each time, taking it back to 2010 here, and this video starts with a young man holding a white rose up to his face. We then see a shot of him throwing the rose down towards a grave, and he walks away into the distance. Within a space of 1 month, this young man lost his father, his grandfather, and his grandmother. This young man's name was Daniel Arroyo, and the title of the video is called Lost But Never Alone.
The city's beautiful in the early morning air. Love the smell of sunrise, and everything becomes so clear.
What a powerful piece of art this one was.
I wish the time would stand still. If this was part of a film, we would watch the clip all day, like a portrait of you and I. Like a portrait of you and I. City's beautiful, feel it in the morning air. Love the smell of sunrise, everything becomes so clear. I think you are beautiful, and you know if I wonder, did you long for summertime when you were growing up? Well, your life's just a breeze in eternity. Why not take this one chance and come fly with me? Just this once, just this second that's soon gone.
To have gone through so much loss, and yet expressing that pain through movement, through art, it's just beautiful. It's not often we get videos that have an emotional depth to them, and this level of vulnerability, and for this, I think it's an absolute classic, and Daniel inspired me so much in my early years of training, and I'm really pleased to hear that he's still going, and still expressing himself in different ways. In today's episode, I have a very good friend of Daniel's, Howard Palmer, a.k.a. the Cosmonaut. Apparently they go way back, and this conversation was a lot. This one was full of passion, full of emotion, full of wisdom, and something that I really hope can reach a lot of people. It's a simple fact that parkour is a predominantly white pursuit. So this makes it especially important we listen and reach out to people who are in minority groups that are part of our community. People like Howard, people like Daniel. We need to listen to their thoughts, their experiences. We need to understand what it's like for them, how they train, how they think. Along these lines, I was really happy just to sit back on this one. I only asked a couple of questions, and this was mainly because Howard goes in. He was in full flow state for like 90 minutes. It's really something to listen to. So please, strap in, listen in, keep it locked for episode 29 with Howard Palmer. Let's go. Okay, we're recording. Just like that, we are back. My word, what is going to happen? I don't know what's going to happen. I'm excited. We've got Howard Palmer here, the Cosmonaut.
Yo.
And it is very late for me. I'm up at, what time are we on? It's 1:37 in the morning.
Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. It's like 6:37 p.m. here on a Wednesday. So it's like Thursday there?
Yeah, so I'm
Yeah.
already into a new day, but very excited. And yeah, maybe my consciousness will be slightly warped and a bit like
This is the perfect time, man.
strange.
It's that late night talking.
Exactly, exactly. It'll be perfect, perfect, perfect. So, yeah, first of all, you just got back from work. How's your day been? You told me that you work three fucking jobs. That's crazy.
Yes.
Is one of them involving parkour, or are they completely different?
Um, no, so my day has been great to answer your question directly.
Good.
Um, and I have actually been up since 4 in the morning. So
Oh shit.
my schedule is wake up at 4:30,
Yeah.
um, out the door by 5:30. And in between that, it's brush the teeth, meditate a little bit, might roll up a little joint, get my mind just relaxed for the day. And
Okay.
then I'm out the door. I'm out the door from 5 till now, 5, 6, 7 in the evening.
Okay.
And what that entails is I have a primary job where I work in the cannabis industry, but mostly on the biochemical side. I
Okay.
work for a company that extracts CBD out of
Mm.
basically marijuana without the THC in it is hemp.
Sure. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we extract the different ones out of that and sell it. And then
Mm.
outside of that, I have a mental health service practice that I offer one-on-one guided meditations. I offer yoga sessions through Zoom.
Mm.
My podcast is kind of littered with guided meditations. I do the YouTube videos on teaching people how to move with mindfulness, with a sense of consciousness.
Mm.
So last year, was it? February 2020, I got certified as a yoga instructor. And only because I've been doing yoga for about 5, 6 years prior to that, but I wanted to, well, like what I was mentioning to you earlier, I wanted to show myself that not that I'm also willing to learn it, but I'm also willing to teach it.
Mm.
And I struggled for a while to want to be a yoga instructor because I felt like the way I felt about parkour, the more you do it, the more you can instruct yourself. You don't need anyone to tell you how to do it.
Mm.
Now you can have guides, but we live in such a society here in the US that it's a hierarchy system that it can mess your mind up to think that you can't do something on your own without somebody guiding you to do it.
Okay. Mm.
So you can't become innovative or you can't learn on your own. And if you do, then you're the castaway. You're the one that's not following the system because you're out on your own. And if you make it, oh well, if not, that's you. And so I really took sides with that because I love the idea of being guided and help. Coming from my community, we don't get a lot of help. But then again, I really love the idea, same breath from my community, that you need to start taking control of your life or this system will destroy you, And so it's that sword. And I want to help people, man. My past has been so littered in a way, and I've been blessed in a lot of ways, but I have not been blessed in a lot of ways. And so I want to help people. I want to be an example if I can. Inspiration is good. I'm humbled by that thought, but I want to be an example. And so whether you like it or not, it's just there. And then at least from there, people can choose and be guided in their own direction. So I'm a certified parkour coach under Apex level 1, level 2. I mentioned being the first Southeastern certified or first Southeastern sponsored athlete under APK and Take Flight at once, all under my dime. Like I made myself sponsored. These people, Mark and Adam, never heard of me. And I showed them who I was, and they're like, well, that's my fault for not knowing who you were. Would you like to be sponsored? So I took it as a humble moment because they recognized they missed something. And now they're trying their best to catch up on it, or at least be honest about it. And life is life. I definitely, at the time, again, I told you I started parkour at 26, now 40 years old. I wasn't easily manipulated in the idea of, oh, we're going to put your video on our page and it's going to be seen by 1,000 people. So just keep sending us video. We'll keep sending you clothes. You won't get any money. You won't get any things that can help you in life, but we'll get you likes. And I'm like, I don't want likes. I want to get paid, or I want something, you know? And then I realized, you know, some people got paid. Why am I not getting paid? And then it becomes that double-edged sword again. And so I don't train or teach parkour anymore because I realize nobody's on my level. I'm 40 years old, high level. I can do moves the 25-year-old kids do. When I offer my coaching, I keep it real simple to the point that I intend on empower you enough not to come back to me.
Okay.
That's bad in the parkour coaching environment of today because they love giving you enough for you to come back. And that's what most people want.
Just enough to give it. Yeah.
Some people still see parkour as a leisure opportunity, something you do at the side. I just go to the gym and do it. Or some people put their kids into it just because their kids aren't good at other sports. You know, so it's back to the mentality. It's back to parkour, in my mind, being a 90% mentality game. And if you don't get that right, you're only going to last for a summer or two, or for how long you can do that one special move you do. And then that's it. You know, you've made history. Thank you. You've made a point. Thank you. But there's no consistency in your game. So I told consistency over intensity.
So I was going to ask you, that's my first question. Yeah, man. I saw that in a lot of your posts and stuff, and it's an interesting concept. And you know, you said you're 40 years old now, and you're still moving so bloody well, man. Like, and you said
never stop, dude. I never stop.
Yeah, well, you can tell, and it's crazy. Like, I saw you put up a video of yourself recently talking about how you're the best practitioner at age 40 in America, just straight up. And I was like, yes, dude. I love the confidence, but it's true. Like, it's true. It's great.
I want the smoke. I want the smoke.
Yeah, you should.
Because it's been that way for more than just now. I've been top since I'll be humble and say at least 5 years. There's nobody I've competed in APK 2016. Why would I compete? Of course I wasn't gonna win, but I did well for a fucking 38-year-old man.
For sure.
You know what I mean?
For sure.
And I would talk about it all the time. I said, we need a 35 and over competition. There's not enough people. I don't care if there's not enough people. Make it so that when you guys get older, that there's at least enough environment for you, a thought.
Yes.
Now they're thinking about it. Now the conversation is like, damn. And every time they think about being older in parkour, they mention Sebastian Foucault. Sebastian doesn't do 5-foot jumps. He's nothing like you. You can't mention him as someone you want to look forward to in the aging of parkour. He has done his work. That's why we're here now. Now there needs to be a new face, a new idea of what it's like to push that gap. Hello, I'm one example. There's many more. There's dudes in UK, 50 years old, that's able to do bigger than a 5-foot jump.
Yo, Bo from London.
Are they better than Sebastian Foucault? No, they're from a different era.
Yeah.
So that's the idea I'm going with right now. You can't come through in the community, and maybe that's what the represent. Because again, in the US, there's this idea of intentionally leaving out Black people. And so if I jump well, Black people just jump well. That's what they do. Okay. If I do anything physically well, it's pretty much a stigma of my color that I'm supposed to do that way. I remember I would go up to some big white leaders in the community, and one of the first 2 words out of their mouth is if I know that other one Black athlete. You know Kenny Sullivan? Do you know Daryl Stringer? Why would I know them? Why would I know them? Oh, well, because, you know, you guys are Black. So I realized that they didn't even see how they were part of the system. They were just being themselves. And so if I would say, no, but what about me? Let's work together. I can do that. We could work together. Well, you're not as famous. You only have 500 likes or 500 followers, you know. They won't support anything of mine unless their name is on it. You know, if I go to their gym and tag their gym, they'll like it. But if I go out and do an outside, It's like they don't even see me anymore. And again, it bothers the shit. It used to bother me a lot because I started thinking, I was like, well, what about the little kid that started parkour at like 10 or 12? Right? What about the Spanish kid or the black kid or the not white kid that started parkour at a young age, and all they want to do is just have fun, and here you are telling them nah, or not even telling them no, just straight up ignoring them. I feel offended, not a bad choice of word. I feel somewhat upset because I don't know the full story, why I wasn't invited or aware of World Chase Tag. For years, Sam, I've been on the basics of parkour, using only the basic movement, no flips, talking about A to B, talking about efficiency. That's why I got certified with these guys, because I agreed with their philosophy. So you're gonna have this event, and I just wondered, what did I do wrong? Because some of the people there, I know, we've trained together. We just trained together recently. We trained together recently before the event, and you never mentioned it? That's selfish as fuck.
And Howard, what do you do with this?
I turn it into fuel.
Yeah, what?
I turn it into fuel to be.
What do you do with this frustration? What do you do with this anger, man? Like,
So right now,
how do you deal with it?
As it stands right now, and so what you're hearing is passion. I'm not angry, because if I was angry, I wouldn't be talking to you.
True.
I'm at a point right now, I don't hear the boos and the nays because I'm so confident in what I'm doing. I created the first only parkour rap video where you're rapping and doing parkour all in an Adidas brand, all on the CU campus, and all talk and no curse words, and exposing the discipline of parkour. Never been done. I did it. You ever heard of it? No. Happened 3 years ago. The song's called Parkour Just Like That. Never heard of it. I said, all right, maybe it was just because I did it and I'm a black guy or whatever, you know. Now, I've done other songs too. I've done another parkour song in Apex Gym in a suit and in my space suit and stuff like that. That happened in 2014. Nobody's never heard of that. So then I was like, all right, well, maybe I'm being selfish. I'm a Leo. Maybe that's what my problem is. Let's work with people. Let's continue to work with people. There's a dude named Sean Higgins in the parkour community.
Yeah.
He is right. I didn't even have to say his last name, but you know, my point being, Sean is the shit. And he raps. And he's got a whole rap group and stuff like that, or did or does. So I said, hey, what would be cool if I do a song with him under the parkour umbrella? And we call it I'm an OG, because Sean's an OG in the Denver, Colorado parkour community. And I believe myself to be an OG in the Georgia community, if not the parkour Georgia community. So he said, yeah, let's do it. I said, perfect. So we did the song. It got a lot of support. I reached out to Alex Paulus to do the video. And I said, good. I got Alex Paulus to do the video, who's been doing some great work with Try Hard, and just his ideas on film is really edgy, and I love it. Sean's the shit with flips, you know, and he could just do them all day, and he's a good lyricist, you know, and I'm top with the basics. Ain't no basic move I can't do, and I know how to rap, and I'm a part of the community like Sean is. We both coached that Path movement at the time. This would be a great opportunity to show the children and possibly the onlookers that these coaches and these athletes, because we were kind of riding the line of two, also have a self-love of verbal, this, you know, of rapping, that they're willing to bring that craft into this movement. And it helped other people too, who might want to bring their craft into parkour. Like they were back in the days, people wanted to do martial arts and parkour, but they're like, nah, that's tricking. You can't do that. That's not parkour. It's a bunch of kicks and stuff. Now, to some extent, you see martial arts in big movements where they're jumping and opening their whole body. They're disciplined. They're engaging their core. In martial arts, you have to learn to engage your core if you want to take a hit. If you train mostly in the gym, you don't know how to take a hit, right? They call it a fall, but it's the same thing. You're hitting the ground. You're always falling. Gravity's always pressing on you. So it's not to me, it's not a fall, it's a hit. But it's not a conversation for what's right or wrong. That's just how I'm saying I see it. When it comes to understanding what an impact is, I guess impact is a good medium word that we use a lot. So impact, you don't know impact if you're in the gym mostly. And yes, you could build a gym with hard surfaces, but it's not the same mentality when you come outside.
No, it's not.
Especially if you could put a mat underneath the 10-foot jump and you could try it 1,000 times. And outside, you can't put a mat underneath it because it's sunk into the ground. It's a concrete wall that's 10 foot up, not a railing or something that you can adjust. So I take that energy to directly answer your question in a roundabout way, like I did, is that I just continue to grow it. I continue to share it. I continue to reach out with other people. I don't take it in and take it personal. I used to take it personal because I wondered, what was I doing wrong? Like, I'm nice to people, intentionally nice, like because we don't know each other. So it's okay to be a little bit happier than you would, just so that it's because you never know, you might not meet this person again. And I gained that type of thinking from working in the corporate environment for all those years. I was an engineer for Google and Samsung for many years. So I knew that there was that aspect I took out, and I just brought it into the community, that when I met people, hey, how you doing? I took a look at your videos. What's up? Just like I do now. It's not, I'm trying to find nice words because I sometimes my mouth is very vulgar.
Mate, you can be as vulgar as you want, don't worry.
Well, okay. Well, basically, I'm not trying to suck your dick. I'm just really trying to get to know you, and be nice. And to the point, some people might think like that, like, this nigga all on my shit. Like, yes, no, really what it is, bro. I really love the fact that you decided to be better for yourself. And that takes wisdom, I think, to be able to see that in others and then be able to support them. And in the parkour community, it's mostly young adults who don't necessarily see wisdom as something in their life. They see it like, like when I get older again, or Sebastian Foucault has wisdom, David has wisdom, but Callum has wisdom, right? But they don't see it for themselves. And I'm like, love all of that. Love all of that. Love the fact that these people offer you a sense of wisdom, but you too can have your own wisdom.
Mate, I used to genuinely, sorry to interrupt. I genuinely, I was joking about this with my friend. There was a point where I was training, maybe like 8 years ago, and I remember like physically thinking I was Daniel Ilbaka.
Yeah.
Like my mind was so it was so strange. Like, when kids like imitate people that they see on TV or whatever, and they know they get all the little facial expressions and all that. Yep. I realized I was training and I was like, I am him.
Yeah. No, that's beautiful.
It was lovely because it made me feel so confident in my movement, but it wasn't me.
Right.
And what's really nice is that, especially with this podcast, it's like really I'm finding my own voice. I'm finding who Sam is and who Sam can inspire. And that's really nice for me, because I'd say, I'd had different issues with mental health and social interaction and things like that. And this is kind of like a conduit for me to be like, look, I want to learn from everyone. I want to learn from the best. I want to pick all the ripe fruit from people, and all this will give me so much nutrients to be like, well, this is me now,
And all I would say in that's the same approach I had with like going out, like Daniel Arroyo. You know that name? Does that name ring?
I was gonna ask you about him. Yeah, he's
that is okay.
Yeah.
Let me calm down a second.
Okay, sorry.
Okay. That is my best friend / greatest friend /
No, really?
I mean, to me, he may not see us that way.
Yeah.
And the reason why I say that is, I'm sorry, I get excited sometimes.
Excited.
When I saw him online,
yes.
I found Daniel Arroyo's video online. I forget how, right? And it wasn't by recommendation, right? He had a parkour video out, and he had one video back in the day called Ball Boy, Ball boy, Ball Boy, right? And he's at this part. You might know it. I mean, again, the guy is fucking famous. So he
Tell me.
His movement was very, again, with me with my martial arts background, I could tell that this person knew what they were doing with their body. They weren't just chucking it, right? And then this was like back in the MTV days, you know, he was famous back then too. So there was a space where they were doing interviews on him and asking him about himself.
Yes.
And he mentioned his father. And important, what the most important thing I got out of it is that here's an individual that took his adversity, his mental adversity, and what I understood from him, and became impossible. I said, fuck, I got to meet this guy. So I hit him up online, didn't get much of a response. Then I drove down to Orlando? He was in Florida. I didn't care where it was. And I drove down to, hey bro, remember that guy you were talking to online? That's me. Want to hang out? And he's like, sure. You know, because at that time, at least, no one's wanted to see him for him. They just kept putting him on this pedestal.
Okay.
And maybe at that time, the way I understood it, he didn't find a proper space with that as of yet, or maybe he was coming out of it. I'm still not clear. But to the point, we had a good connection. He felt like there was something in me that he respected as well. And so whatever it may be, I ran with it. And so I tried to do videos with him. I even tried, again, this was like before I could, this wasn't even being done in Georgia. There was a forum or a group called Overflux. And it was ran by this Indian kid named Amir. He's now a dentist or something like that. But he was in parkour back in the day too. And he used to run with the earlier school guys here in the US, like, wow, the name's drawing a blank. It's been so many years. But there were a set of people in the early 2003-4 ideas that were basically representing like the Yamakasi style of parkour here in the US. Okay. And I knew of them, but I only met one of them. And I did this whole video with him too. I did a rap song called Phantom of the Parkour Opera and stuff. I met these people online, and we didn't have videos. And so we would come outside and just like figure it out together. We couldn't see when David and these guys did these moves and stuff because there was no visual representation. Jump London and Jump Britain and these movies didn't come out. I think, which one was first, Jump London or Jump Britain?
I think Jump London was first. Yeah,
Jump London was first. Jump London came out, and I think that was the buzz for us, or for them at least. And when I came into parkour, because I think Jump London came out a little bit years before that, the way I came into it, I wasn't off the hype. And so the guys that were in it before, I was told that they no longer do it. There was only one kid by the name of Gamey or Gameyy or Gamay or something like that, that was very good at style. And he basically represented what Georgia wanted to see of parkour. But he no longer did parkour. He lived like in Hawaii or something like that. So I found his video. Sam, I studied every single move he did, and then I duplicated that video. And I put a channel-to-channel video. And before I did it, I reached out to him. I said, man, I love what you did and I love what you represented. May I please repeat your work and help to show people? And I explained what I was doing prior to that. And he's like, do it. You have my blessings, and I'm not going to say, no. So I did the video. I did everything like him and did a little bit of me there in hopes to represent to people that parkour can grow. And the people that you saw before doesn't have to be the people that you help to determine what the future of this movement looks like. It could literally look like us flying 30 years from now. So dudes like me and you who can't fly, we're no longer parkour, right? So I'm an advocate of that. I could fade myself out in this way, right? And I'm okay with that. I don't want to be here forever, but I don't want to not be here and not represent a change and difference and represent the idea that you can grow in this movement. And that's why I didn't like the idea of gyms in the beginning, because you can't grow in a gym. You can move the obstacles around, and there's even gyms that were offered that the whole gym is mobile. Okay, What do you do when you mobiled everything 1,000 times? And now you go outside and you try that same jump. What I experienced, speaking only for myself, is that it doesn't translate well. You could grow up in a parkour gym and still never train outside, or still have hesitance about training outside. But,
It's
go ahead.
oh, it's funny. Just thinking about what you're saying now, I'm just imagining like the really top kind of gym athletes, and it seems to me that, correct me if I'm wrong, but it seems to me that a lot of them started outdoors, came into the gym, and then got really sick in the gym, and then went back outdoors and kind of. But yeah, I think you definitely have a point that, like, if you just start in the gym and you can modify everything, then you're never building a tolerance for adversity.
Harder. It's just harder. It's possible because, in all honesty, I'm a name dropper because I've been out here for so long. No one drops my name, but I drop people's name. So like, Try Hard. They are a representation of children that started in the gym and took it outside to now that they're good.
Yeah.
And they're really good. And I rarely see them go to the gym to get better. They just do it like as a way to grease the oil.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, I could try this, but they're right. So, and I don't know anything about like Team Fat, who's like pretty much pushing that edge if they started in a gym or anything like that. But the fact that they're outside mostly, at least as far as they convey their videos to be, that it brings back that sense of doing big things outside, right? Storo changed the game when they said you can just be outside. You can do anything you want to outside. And then they went to roof culture outside, right? Still, and that's why I think that's one of the reasons why we love them so much, because there's Copenhagen, there's a whole country of movements and gyms. Nobody's talking about that more than we appreciate it. We're talking about the people who are outside doing it every day or enough for us, right? Dom is another big example of this generation. If he makes it anything further than he is now, he will continue to be in the conversation of this piece, godlike in his approach, because there's no one like him.
Yeah.
So he can't ask for your help or your opinion, right? He can only hopefully consider your support and be humble enough to take it into his life. But he doesn't need anybody when it comes to him committing to his movements and taking his discipline further.
Yes.
Right? That type of mentality, as far as I saw in the gym, doesn't exist. Right?
Do you think it can exist?
As of today, yes. In the past, no.
Okay. Yeah.
As of today, yes. And to my point of Daniel Arroyo, I'm sorry, I forgot. So I asked him to pay him to come to Georgia to teach us parkour. And I reached out to my dudes on Overflux. They were like, that's stupid as fuck. Why would you do that? Why would we pay someone to teach us parkour? That's no, we don't do that. I'm like, Danny, I'm sorry, man. But I'm willing to come to your state and work with you. And he's like, that's cool. And he hadn't done the Jennifer Lopez thing yet. He hasn't done the Will Smith thing yet. He hadn't, like whatever else I couldn't keep up with, because he has a record, he has a list, So I'm just like, here's a gentleman, a young man who's not white, specifically, that's very important, who maybe had a confrontation with Daniel Ilbaka back in the MTV days and stuff like that. But then still, because they had this conversation apparently that got one of them kicked off the show and something like that, because they didn't see eye to eye. And I think it was Daniel Ilbaka and Daniel Arroyo, like, woo, two powerhouses in my mind.
Wow. Yeah, absolutely.
And here's this young man who has some adversity outside of this discipline, but he's doing moves that nobody in Florida is doing. And then kind of like nobody in the US at the time was doing. And he's like 5'6".
Yeah.
So when he got recognized by WFPF and kind of got picked up by the UK scene, and he was traveling with those guys doing stuff, I was so happy for him. Here in the US, I don't know if he got that much love. Of course, he got loves from his friends.
Really?
and people like that. But I didn't see people posting his videos and like Daniel's out. No, I didn't see that. I saw them like, oh, look at this guy, look what he did. And I'm like, are you fucking over there? Do you live over there? You don't live over there. So why are you on his dick? Like, there's people here in this country that are good, that just because they're not as good as you don't want to recognize them? Is that how I'm seeing this? Because that's not fair. And I'll say, hey, Danny, man, and he would have his piece about the community as well. And I'm like, you're right, dude. And that's so unfair. Why is that like that? And we would agree on certain points, and then we would go off on our own standpoint about things, you know? And as it stands right now, as of today, I don't know if he's angry or anything, but he's moving again. And I love that. I love that he's back with it. But it doesn't matter what he does, because to me, he's a person that's willing to look into himself, find out what's going to make him better, and then dive into that. And parkour became an example of that for him, right? And then there's other things, maybe now his life and his art, you know, and his music is one example. I can relate to that fully. Even those same examples I can relate to. So here it is, two individuals that came from separate backgrounds that saw this movement as a way for full loving self-expression. It wasn't just about jumps. It was about creating art. And so Parkour by HP was in a way, and I even said it, I created videos and got no support, it's okay, to say like, I wanna show you the life behind it. And when I say it got no support, it's because I didn't promote it like that. I felt like, no, it's just gonna catch on. I don't need to buy likes and buy favoritisms and stuff. People want this. I was just too early. I was 5 to 6 years too early, because now, what does everybody wanna see? BTS. They wanna see behind the scenes. They wanna know what makes it click. I love that. I love to see that it's happening now. I'm confused as to why, when myself or some other people were doing it, why it didn't catch on. But again, it's technology, and it's the idea of the internet, and the internet is built off attention. And so if the attention's not there, it's just, and so putting myself in that category, if the attention of someone actually having my accolades is not there, then I'm a ghost. You never heard of me. You've never heard of someone doing it since 2006 till today. Traveled and lived in different states and done moves that have yet to be done. Not because they're impossible, but because everybody's still following each other. Right? And so till they stop doing that, because you remember, you don't flip, or you don't flip a lot. I don't flip a lot either. I got like 3 flips that I love to do, but I'm gonna make sure I'm the only 40-year-old able to do them, right? And my point is that if you don't find a way to make it yours and own it, then you're gonna fall victim to the wave of what other people are doing. Like flips, when flip started out and you couldn't flip, you were kicked out of the flip game. You were kicked out of the parkour game. No one watched your videos because you weren't flipping. What?
Yeah, it's crazy.
That's offensive.
Yeah, and I think what's so brilliant is seeing individuals or little communities come up with new styles that then become so influential, because they sort of reject kind of the normal ways of doing things, you know. Like it's really fascinating for me to see how styles have changed over my time of practice, and how people start things that seem perhaps slightly strange or different, and then it's like they're just owning it, and then it's like, wow, this is amazing, like getting into different things, and that's what gives us our culture. Yeah,
exactly. And seeing that in each other is what helps build the culture. Yes, sir.
But what my point was is that I do find a lot of people lost in what their own self-expression is, because they're only watching content from other styles, and it gets to a point where you think, well, am I going to go out today and be like Ed Scott? Am I going to go out today and be like Andy Vole? Am I going to go out and be like
Sam? I started doing from front flips off of things like 2 years back. So at 38, as long as it was 10 feet and above, I'm a front flip off of it. And I would look at it and work. And I have a compilation. It's not many videos, but it's more than 5 of me front flipping off of things. You know what a couple of people said to me? Who do you think you are? Do you think you're Dom? What? Look at what Dom does. Why would I think I'm him? But because they're still in that mentality of the follower. They can't accept, and it's not a negative. I speak in a certain way, so I do understand that. But they're not able to accept yet because you're following the crowd. If everybody started opening parkour gyms, everybody starts opening parkour. There was a time when there was no parkour gyms. And the idea of opening a gym wasn't a good thing. Then all of a sudden, insurance came forward, or license came forward, or money came forward.
Same
now there's a fucking gym everywhere.
Same as competition.
Yeah. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And I'm not an advocate of competition if it looks to ostracize or separate someone, or looks to determine that if that person wins that competition, that they're the best. So when I put out that I'm the best, I'm not putting it out because I believe I'm physically adapt or better than another person. I'm the best because there's nobody that's been doing it like me for these years. That's what makes me the best. And I'm a part of the community. So Renee hit me up after I put that up and said that Renee from Parkour in Canada with Tom Coppola and stuff. He said, we need to get a competition. I'm like, word, let's get it. But in the back of my mind, I hope he doesn't think the competition is going to be the determining factor against my words. Because I'm not the best because I physically think that I'm better. No, that's impossible. I'm not. I'm not you and you're not me. What makes me the best is my history. What makes me the best is my consistency. What makes me the best is my capability in that discipline, the overall look. Like when somebody wins a Nobel Peace Prize, it's not because they did 20 push-ups faster than the other motherfucker. It's because they represent something more than just a push-up. So that's what I don't really favor about competition. They're using it as this tool that if this one person wins, so like when Joey Adrian wins the competition, I love that because Joey Adrian's got history. If somebody who wins the competition and doesn't have history, I'm going to respect that person, but I can't say I love it. Because they may have came from outside, just like Tim Ferriss. Tim Ferriss is another person that I read and love his book, but I hate the fact of the way he approaches certain things. Like when he won that Muay Thai competition and he won it in a way where it's never been won, and it was like a top one. And the only way that he won it is that he studied the what it took to physically get there, and then he did something drastic to his body and drastic to his discipline, and then he won. Now it made all the other guys that's been doing it for years trying to get to this top and win this competition, it made them look like shit. But if you really understand what's happening, it can't take away from the history that you put in and the discipline that you've offered yourself. Just because this guy who came out of nowhere won the competition, he won it because he was smart, and smart people don't play fair, right? So now you got to get smart. Don't let it take away from you. So I take that same breath into what's happening. I've been doing this for so long. I'm injury free. I dislocated my pinky doing a palm spin in a gym for somebody on mats. That's my only injury. Everything else, every video that I drop is from the same day of training. I don't save clips. I don't want you to think I'm hot now when I'm just sitting at my house eating Cheetos. I want you to see my video, I'm hot now because I'm hot now. So you can get a full representation of yourself. So you can see someone, yeah, man, that shit is depressing. When I see a video and I know your hair is much longer than that now. But I get it. It's the idea of attention. And if the moves you were doing didn't get attention now, you could save your clips and start posting and hashtagging the fucking shit out of it. And then everybody likes you now. Okay, you win. Come check me in 5 years. Sam, if I could do the move 5 years ago, I should be able to do it now. That's my philosophy. It's not reverse for me. It's not like, oh, my knees, my back. Now, mind you, if I work 3 jobs and I'm up by 4 and in the bed by 10, I'm moving and meditative all the time. I stretch all the time. I call it, what did I call it? I come up with creative things. I think I said the other day, I posted on Instagram, it was snack training or snack something I said. But I was trying to define or put in an umbrella how throughout my day, whether I'm sitting with my wife or I'm outside doing something, I'm just moving. I might stretch, I might do some air squats, I might stretch my body, I do some joint movement. Being certified as a personal trainer and a yoga instructor and a martial artist and a parkour coach, I read these books. I didn't buy the certification, so I had to put the knowledge somewhere, and I found space in my life to put it. So now I'm a machine. I am a machine from 4 to 10, but not a machine where I don't know myself, because there's a lot of collective meditative moment. I wouldn't be able to provide you with guided meditations. I wouldn't be able to lead you through a sense of calm if I didn't expose myself to that level of discipline too. It's just that I'm also very excited, like this moment. I'm not on anything. I'm just sweating and excited because I get to talk to someone who's willing to take the next level, to take the next step, who's not just talking. So like when I went on Height Drop, I love Brandon. Brandon's another big
shout out Brandon.
Yeah. Shout out Brandon Douglas all day. And when I went on his podcast, I said, man, I love what you're doing here, because at least you're just opening the conversation. Brian Prince had a podcast before his, similar effect, but it didn't catch on. And so Brian even announced it. He promoted Brandon's podcast and say, go to his podcast instead, right? So he kind of gave him what's the word I'm looking for? The kudos to move forward in sense of the a parkour podcast in the US, right? And Brandon's philosophy about Height Drop, initially he just had it in the background. It was there. He didn't really want anybody, he didn't want to promote it. He wanted people to just run up on it. And I'm like, that's cool, but you represent so much, dude. You've won competitions. Like there's probably little kids, and I'm one of them, and like inside myself, who looks up to certain moves that you've done. And like, there's certain things he's done in Boulder that has yet to been done before, that you can drive by the spots and just, for me, I'm like, damn, he hit that? Dang, and it's just being able to see the history and the legacy of someone like that and know it. And maybe he had that persona of himself, but then it was gassed, and thinking he was the shit, and he had to get rid of it.
Okay.
Because he admits that too, he admits that there's a point in his life where he just too gassed about it and thinking he was better, and he had to like calm himself down or whatever happened in his life to kind of bring him to the acknowledgement of the truth. But it doesn't take away from his capability and his skill set. He's still good, for wherever he is now. Let's hope he can continue that way. And so my point is that when you're good that way, and when you have the opportunity, you should share that shit. You should share it and step into a realm that you're so confident. Like Bruce Lee has this statement, is like, I didn't come in this world to live to your expectations, so I don't expect you to live into mine. I like that idea. I love those words, because if I'm living to your expectation, then of course I'm going to think you might live to mine, and then I'm going to judge you, and then I'm going to find blame, just like what you asked me earlier. If I sound angry, it's because the conversation has yet to be resolved. So it's still in that energy of.
I learned something interesting recently. Someone was saying that whenever anger is present, it represents a task that needs to be done.
Yes. And so I don't want to take away from the energy of that by talking on it calmly. No, it's still there, and it's still fucked up.
Of course.
The fact that you don't know of me is a problem. And it's not because I'm good. Why should you only know about the good guys? And if you check it, I am actually good.
I know you're good.
But in a different way. So again, back to the attention. And I know it. It's not for something I portray. Back to me coaching. When I coach people, I intentionally coach them enough to give them enough jewels to go home and take, so that if they come back to me, it's with more. They're coming back as a better person. They're not just hanging out with me every Tuesday at 7 because they paid for this class.
Do you do any like private teaching? Do you do any like street mentorship stuff?
I used to. Now I'm because of COVID and because of
Yeah.
and not really COVID. So again, back in America here, police brutality and racism has been the foundation of this country. And I've been exposed to it. My friends have been exposed to it. I've had guns drawn on me by dumbass cops. Within the last 2 years, with it being so exposed with George Floyd, I cried for like a week straight. I couldn't understand why I was crying though. I had to go back into myself and realize that all that pain that I used to see and listening to in the gang music and be a part of, because I was in a gang, be a part of, it was just hurting me now. And I kept seeing how I contributed to it and how much it's killing us. And I watched the video of George Floyd and I just couldn't stop crying.
Mm.
And I'm like, I'm not dealing with white people no more. Like I started getting, anger is not the word.
Fury.
So back in the 90s, this is a quick recap. When the Roots came out, there was a big Roots is a movie of, okay, you've heard, okay, you're nodding. Okay. So when Roots came out, there was a lot of black people up in arms, ready to punch the shit out of white people in their face. Just to punch the shit out of them. Because the fury was there, and now you could see it on TV. And these actors were portraying it in such a way that it's like, I don't know if I can watch this. And this would come on TV, and it would come on weeks at a time and hours at a time. So you'd be plugged in front of your television between commercials watching this stuff. So you got indoctrinated in a way that you didn't even notice. And so you put that energy, in my point, back to where we are now, to see what happened. Sam, if I would have got a gun, I mean, I own it. If I would have not owned a gun and not feel like, if I didn't have a sense of mind, I could understand the way the young black children are acting now in America. They seem completely lost to the idea of self. They dread their hair, they go on, they expose themselves one day. They'll almost do anything to be noticed. It's fucking sickening. We are dying based off of attention. People are killing themselves because they don't get enough likes or they get bullied online. Black kids are being left out of conversations only because they don't dress right or look right, or because of their skin straight up and down. So I stopped thinking, it started hurting me. And I'm like, I can't, living in Colorado is predominantly a white community. I was like, I love people, I know people, I want to help people, but I can't train anybody right now because most of my clients are white. And I don't know how to look beyond their skin when that's how they keep seeing me. Like I never intentionally treated them that way, but knowing that's how they saw me. So I watched my back. You know, there's a thing in the Black community, don't trust white people, you know, and it's true to a full extent, but it's also unfair. I'm not gonna say it's fair, but I will say that it's true, right? And so it's very hard to live in that space, bro. It's very hard to know. So when you wake up in the morning, let's say you feel fucking great. You brush your teeth, you walk out, you look good, and you start walking down the street, and this woman clutches her purse or looks at you funny and says something stupid as fuck. Like, can I touch your hair? Or you're not supposed to be here. Sam, your whole day could be fucking squashed right there. And then you got to find a way to get over that, because now you got to go to work with the same people, maybe not the same person, the same people who made you feel that way.
Yes.
And now this person may have not made you felt that way, and they're like, "What's wrong, Howard?" You know, Billy, I don't know. I don't know, because I don't even know if I can explain it to you what's wrong. You know, but I'm cool. Let's get to work. You know, and you just got to put on code switching. You just got to put on your white voice and get over it. There's a lot that's happening in this community that a lot of people outside of our country in parkour in our community don't see, don't get exposed to, or not even aware of. Okay, there are certain parts or certain days that in certain cities of parkour that you just can't go out and train, or you might get harassed, or you might get beat up, or you might get shot. You know, we talked about that in the Obsidian Gathering event about it's something that I brought up in conversation, being that the age and experience I had with it. But there was a time, it's somewhat better now, maybe because of where I am, but maybe not completely better. You could not go outside training parkour without a white person with you, because the cop would immediately think you're a robber. It doesn't matter what you say. You're going in that paddy wagon. You're going in that car. So walk with no ID and walk with a white friend, because you don't need an ID if you're not driving a vehicle. So why would they ask you for ID if you don't need it, right? Because they want a record. They want to put you on record and fuck up your record before you even get started in life. So it's a system. The white friend can go out, hey man, you need some help? You want some fucking water? You guys are awesome. I'm out there, we're out there. Wait, what y'all doing? What are you doing out here? Oh, somebody called. Somebody could have not have called. But because the cop doesn't want you there, you gotta leave now. I dealt with that from day one, living in Georgia in the South. Maybe others can attest to it. I won't call them out because they have their own history with parkour. But there are multiple times when we were just out training, there was no white friend with us, and the black cop shows up, or the white cop shows up. Doesn't matter his skin, he's just a cop. And so we end up almost even catching a fear of being able to train outside.
Mm.
We need the conversation that I feel needs to be had in the US, because maybe it doesn't apply to other countries. And it doesn't mean they can't have a voice or in support to it, because parkour is our medium, but they may not be able to fully relate, right? It's almost like as a dude in parkour, we can't fully relate to how a woman might feel in parkour. We can hear her out, and we might be that one guy that just wanted to help. But did she ask you for your help? You know, so it's understanding a woman's position in the same medium that we're doing. And then in the example I'm trying to give for the outsiders in the US, trying to understand our position in the same medium. Daryl does a great job, and then Dan Dye is a new one that does a great job to politically represent the injustice, what's happening.
Mm.
The only thing, not the only thing, what I represent outside of what they're doing in my belief is that I represent what was happening inside of the culture. They represent the political aspect that's affecting the culture, and they talk about it, and they do it very well. I don't even know half the stuff they know. But what I do know, which they have not yet shown that they know as well or as versed, is the community of it and the people in it. Like, there's not a person in the US that's been a top level athlete or that's a gym owner that I haven't met or known or doesn't know me. Not one. But yet, I could go to different gyms. I remember meeting Andy Taylor, Mr. Blue Hair. I've known Andy from days, got pictures with Andy, used to hang out with Andy. Andy came to Colorado after leaving Philly, trying to start over his life again, trying to help parkour build. And he's like, I think he was here for a good year or so, maybe 6 months to a year. And he didn't even know I was here. No one mentioned my name at all. And I'm like, Andy, I've known you since Florida, when we used to host those jams and I would come down from Georgia and video. He's like, yeah. And I was like, no one mentioned me? And again, this is not the idea of, I need to be mentioned. It's a part of the community. It's a part of keeping us together in conversation, so that if someone is here in the state that you know or we know, we work together. So it doesn't have to be, you have to wait 5 to 10 years for children to grow up in parkour to then be old enough to work in parkour. There's actual people that can converse and work together. But there's that missing conversation. And again, in Howard's mind, only in Cosmo's mind, because I've yet to talk to people about it, that it's twofold. It's the idea of race, and it's the idea of longevity.
Mm.
And so if you're not doing parkour for a long time, you might not mention that person that's been doing it longer than you. If you guys started at the same time and they advanced past you, but you got a gym and he doesn't have a gym, he can do a 10-foot jump, but you can't, but you can pontificate the fuck out of parkour. Are you going to mention him? Probably not. You'll find somebody older or something like that and make it seem like that person is old parkour, but you won't mention me. So there's still that problem. And I don't know how to fix it more than what I'm doing now is just standing up aggressively. I'm not an aggressive person. I can be. I can be so much so that it's a part of my character. But in all honesty, I just want to be left alone and have fun, be able to share with people and not be denied. So I stood up. I am the best, not because I'm cocky, but because I have 4 to 5 different Instagram and 3 to 4 different YouTubes and years of training of the videos and connecting and work. Where the fuck you at? Why haven't they used what I've done in support? So maybe it's the person. So let me die, but at least my work would be there. And then maybe somebody white or maybe a young woman will pick it up and it would be acceptable then. But I'm not gonna stop doing this because you don't like it or you not talking about me because you not like me. Why would you need to be like me? Think again, Yamakasi, parkour was created by a bunch of immigrants. Did they walk around saying that they need to be like each other? They supported each other and pushed each other. Why aren't we doing that now? Why is there a name of one person and that person's name just lasts the whole fucking, just lasts, that's it. Nobody else's name can come up now. It's just unfair. And maybe because of the position I'm in, that's how I feel, but I'm trying to also look at it from the outside in, trying to get past myself and look at the work. And hopefully, as the future of this art continues to progress and express itself into sports, into competitions, into this stuff, there'll be enough of an environment for people to love each other and support each other and not feel like they need to bring each other down or not say anything about this person unless they're sharing your work or they're at your gym or they did something for you.
Yeah. Damn. Yeah, I'm like,
I know you're tired, bro. I'm sorry.
Half in and out of consciousness, so I'm really looking forward to listening to us all back, man. Definitely. Thank you.
No, I get it, man. I know, and I see you.
Thank you for your words, man. Thank you for sharing all that. It just seems like it's just straight out, and it's really nice that you're just free, just completely. It's just from brain to mouth, and like there's no lag.
So now you see why I had to create a podcast. Because I'm having these conversations and I'm like, I just want to talk. Like cops would say, that's unfortunate. But I can't live in my mind and think the world exists in my mind. So talking with you is like joy. Good.
I'm glad. That's all I can offer right here, for now. But
did you get any questions from the community? Did anybody ask any questions?
Yep. So I have all these questions left, but we've already gone so far.
Let's do one or two if we can. I'd love to know what people want to know.
Oh well, sorry. These are my questions.
Okay. Sorry.
Let's get a couple of these in, and then I think we only had one question. From a young guy who I'm already very fond of from India that seems to be following my podcast, and
Oh, awesome.
I'll ask his question after this one. So something that really struck me was a term you used in one of your videos or posts, Sankofa.
Oh, yeah.
And so for listeners, this is apparently the importance of reaching back to knowledge gained in the past to use in the present. And for me, I'm actually working on a video in my like hometown with my family, and I'm trying to kind of recreate a lot of the movements I did like 10 years ago. And it's a super interesting experience for me. But also seeing that phrase, I was like, wow, that's like exactly where I'm at the moment. So please tell us more about this, if you will.
Well, it's a African term. I think it comes from Ghana.
Yes.
And like you said, it is a sense of going back and getting in. So sometimes I have to calm down. My body is like, whoa. During times of slavery, we had to find ways to be reminded of our true essence, right? Our king and queen, or what we used to call emperor and empress, our past, our true history. We weren't just slaves. The idea of slaves were, if anything, slaves are cloned Africans here in the US. They took some white blood, they took some African blood, and they made niggas, right? And so that's the version of Blacks in America. That's why they're called African American, right? A true African is never going to be American. If anything, he's an African in exile, but he's not American. If you're born here and they made you and clone your ass, yeah, then you're African American. So have that. So Sankofa is a way to learn to look back into your true history outside of the one that was perpetuated, given to you, and use that power and that knowledge into your now. So it's just how we try to remember our history in a true way. And there's a really good movie about it. It's Afrocentric for sure, called Sankofa. But that's why I did it. I did it in a way for people to be reminded that the essence of who you are can always be called into the future. You don't just get old and then get wasteful. You should actually be like gold or like diamond, you know, over time, or like wine, you know, you get better over time. So I tried different mediums or different ways to bring that consciousness in, because that's what I'm about. I just said it earlier. If I can do the move 5 years ago, I want to believe I should be able to do it now. So at 35, I should be able to do the same move at 40. So far, everything's been working out. If I go to an old spot and I remember a video, I can do the move again. The only caveat, it takes me maybe 5 more minutes or a little bit more time to do the move than it did before. So I know I'm aging, obviously, but I also know that my mind is changing, because I don't call what I do right now training. I more call it greasing the joints, because I've spent so much years conditioning in certain movements, like all the basic movements, the Kong, the balls, the slides, the jumps, the freeze of it, that one summer,
it's just
4 years ago, I wanted to learn how to do a running pre like the people in Spain and Kai when they use one foot. So I just looked at the videos and slowed them down and figured it out. And then I went outside and taught myself. Now I know how to do 2 different styles of running pre's as I was getting older. So I didn't consider that, man, I might not be able to do that 10-foot jump the way that I want to. Yes, I can, because there's nobody else doing it. So there's no one telling me I can't do it. And that's the representation I want to be as well. I want little children or young people in the parkour community not to fall victim to the wave of movements, more so to use it as a stepping stool to get better within themselves. So if you don't ever want to do flips in parkour, fucking don't ever do flips. But don't ever think you're not doing parkour. Yeah, dead up. And then for the people who do flips, they should not treat you less than because you don't do flips.
Yeah, for sure.
For sure, but it is not really the case. So it's being able to get past that, and I think it's the leaders that's going to change that. It's when we stand up and say it's okay and we do it for and with each other that the children are the ones who are not clear on how to love unconditionally will just follow suit. So we just have to change that paradigm. Change the idea that parkour is not just for white boys. Change the idea that Sebastian Foucault and David Bell are not just the only old face of parkour. Yes, they're the creators. Yes, Yamakaze. Yes, you got Gravity Style, Malik. You got all these people that no longer move on a level that's efficient, that you still keep calling up as a way to define what old parkour looks like. You can't do it. It's a setup. Because when they get older and they possibly might be as good as me or better, let's hope they're better. That's my point of even setting this bar to subconsciously get in your mind and fuck with you and make you do better. Yeah, like Mike Tyson used to do, get in their heads. You know, now I'm saying it, I might lose my energy and lose my power, but that's a part of it too. Not that it's also true, but also to get in your head to push the bar. So that when I get old and decrepit, if I make it that far, and they're gonna be like, yo, do you think this will happen? It's like, no, I wanted the bar to be pushed so far that if it was gonna be pushed anything further, it had to be an impossible thought. And so, you know, Luke Albrecht? Is it Albrecht?
Yes.
Everyone knows Luke. It was until I came around, that Luke's movement wasn't defined.
Really?
I call it Luke core.
Yeah, I noticed, yeah.
Not to say that people weren't coming up with names and saying things, but
he has his own style.
Exactly. They kept making it parkour and they kept trying to move in a sense like him, but no one went to go train with him. No one went to go do his exact movements that I saw. So guess who the fuck did? I did. And I trained with that guy and I made him and asked him to teach me how to be like him, how to be a Jedi, how to move like that. And I can't do it. I tried. So then I realized he's on a completely different level. And he might die before you guys realize that. And that's the unfortunate part.
Shout to Luke, man. Shout to Luke.
Shout out to Luke for ages, dude. For ages.
Like, easily one of the most creative in the game, 100%.
Easily. Mm-hmm.
And yet, do you think is he super well known in the US, like generally? Yeah, because I would say
he's a celebrity in the US parkour community.
Interesting.
Children force their parents to go see Luke.
Right. Okay. Wow.
It's that real with Luke. And as far as he conveys himself to me, he's a humble guy, but he doesn't take no shit.
Good.
You know, he's not gonna be bullied or made fun of his movement just because you can't do it. He knows that's why people may have made fun of it in the past. It's because they couldn't do it, not because there was something wrong with it.
Yeah.
You know? So it's dudes like that I love and admire and, you know, hope to build my own version of that legacy. If not, then I want to be their fan. I want them to live and die and remember that there was at least one person that thought the world of them. Because I do. Not as an individual, but because of the work they do. And I'll wear their clothes. I'll buy their material. I'll support their work. I'll repost their videos. I don't give a fuck because they deserve it. Yeah. They deserve it. Not because you know them, not because they move like you, not because they won a competition. No. Just because they're good people and they discipline the fuck out of themselves. And like Luke, he has a whole new path that, again, I don't even know. There might be another generation before kids can move like Luke.
Damn. Yeah, I think you might be right.
I tried moving like him and I'm pretty capable on my body. And I could somewhat move like him, but
I would love to try. I would love to try, man. I'd love to go and train with him.
What I would love him to do is create a movement video and and challenge people to do his exact movement and then give
Yeah.
a paragraph sentence about it. I would
Yes.
love for him to do that, but
Mm.
maybe he just views it in a different way, which is great, because whatever he thinks of himself, as long as he continues to think it, it shows that he can think,
It shows
he
that.
thinks well of himself. Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Nice. Let's go on to the question.
Yeah. Probably the longest episode ever. I'm sorry.
Bro, don't worry. It's all good. It's all good. Like we could go for hours, but I definitely will fall unconscious. Okay, let me just find it. Where are we? Oh man. Okay, I'm shutting down. Okay, where are we? This is great. I feel like when you kind of losing sleep, you feel a bit drunk.
Yeah. I actually did a podcast with someone, or one of my students. We had a one-on-one, and not a podcast, a Zoom call, and I had to get up at like 3 a.m. and it was like 1 o'clock in the afternoon, and I was like, and I got up at 2 to give myself a whole hour to prepare for a 30-minute session, because I had to be so, awake. So I get what you're possibly going through, man. Let's just power through these questions. And again, thank you so much.
No, it's funny, man. It's making me laugh. Okay. Okay, it was worded slightly strangely, so I think I understand what he means. So this is from my boy Kunal Sharma. Shout out.
Yeah, he's all over your podcast.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Amazes me. I love it. He says, he said, don't feel like conditioning or training or just slacking back. How do you approach this thing mentally? Does he mean don't feel like conditioning or training? Oh, okay. So when you don't feel like conditioning or training, you just want to just sit back and chill. How do you approach that mentally? That's his question. Can you chill? Does Howard Palmer chill?
And I was like, without getting like deeper context into what he's getting at, I'm like Hulk, yo.
Okay.
I make the unchill chillable. Like I find peace in the chaos, because to me, like as I meditate and get better into the idea of self and using and learning this knowledge, I don't read spiritual books or philosophies of other people. I think there's enough books in the world. I don't think there should be any more fucking books in the world. I think there should be more readers in the world, more people who are willing to read and comprehend and turn that learning into wisdom, right? Because we can repeat the fuck out of something somebody says and post it online and make it sound good and get all the likes and it's a quotable, but you don't know what it means, the wisdom behind it. So I don't personally think there should be more books. There should just be more understanding of the lecture that's out there. And the way that I remain calm in that breath, the way I come from mine, is that I don't get too caught up in my body's ability not to do something. The jump will always be there. You have to be ready for the jump. The body, and maybe because I'm old, I shouldn't be saying this, but the body is resilient. It is the mind that you have to break. And I say it in a sense because I've seen overweight people. Like in America, it's predominantly a lot of overweight people, and in the UK, but in America, we have a problem with obesity. And I'm like, how does the skin stretch like that? Like, how does look at his fucking neck? Oh my, and I'm just I look at skinny people or even myself, and I'm like, man, if my stomach stood out that far, how could I fucking breathe? So I just know that the body is very resilient, but then they may have gotten that way because they allowed their minds to let go, right? They got fat because they got sad, or they got fat because everybody in their family fat and they were the only skinny ones, so they might as well got fat. Whatever the case may be, it started looking like it was just here more than it was here. So then I realized for me to really get better at my training or my discipline or my movement, I have to calm my mind down. So I mentioned I wake up at 4 a.m. I'm in the bed by 9, 10. I meditate at least 4 times out the day. And I do an active meditation where I might be walking and just being grateful, saying words like, I appreciate myself, I protect myself, I love myself, I listen to discipline, you know, I say those things. Or it might be a stillness meditation where I'm sitting there for 5-10 minutes breathing, you know. Or it might be a learning meditation where I'm learning something and trying to digest it. Like this book that because learning, to me, learning is a skill. You're not just born and you learn. You have to learn how to learn, right? That's why there's education and knowledge. Like, fuck school. You can get knowledgeable without school. You don't need school, but it's a good way to start. So like this book that I'm reading here is called Handbook of the Navigator. I meditate with this book. I might read something out of it and then just sit back on it and think about it. That's how I remain cerebral and keep the mentality calm. So when I come to a movement and a jump, and I do a lot of breaks, I do a lot of breaking the jumps. Again, I mentioned I've done jumps that have yet to be considered because Howard did it or what, who knows what, but whatever the case may be. So when I'm the first to do the jump, and we all know what it's like to break a jump, it's up in here, dude. And sometimes you might need to see someone else do it first before you do it. But what if there's nobody else to do it? And you still want to do the jump? The jump will always be there. You have to get your mind right. So to answer his question, it's a constant continuation of checking myself, appreciating myself, listening to myself, and learning how to shut up and get out of my way. Constant. That's the flow. That's the breathing. That's the joy. When I go to bed at night, I pray. When I wake up in the morning, I meditate. When I go to bed at night, I pray. When I wake up in the morning, I meditate. It's just a cycle, right? I ask for forgiveness and I ask for guidance, and then I show gratitude and guidance and appreciation of how my day went. There's something greater than me here. If it's God, if it's Jesus, if it's Buddha, it's something greater than me, because I'm flawed. I am capable of hurting myself. I'm capable of lying to myself. I'm capable of mistreating myself. And I can do it to other people. And we do it to other people. So I need to give praise to something greater than myself if I want to believe that there's goodness in this world and in me. So my life is about breathing that beauty. Olive, or Liv, that you had on your podcast, she talks about the pranayama and the different breathings, and there's the four spaces of breathing. Yes, most of us only know 2, if not 1, just breathing. I'm breathing. Yeah, but you know, there's a pause in between that. Like, and it's everything. And to her point, yes, we do all get friggin' angry when someone tells you to breathe or hesitant, and it's natural. It's almost telling a baby to stop walking. No one taught you how to walk, Sam. You looked at these adult looking motherfuckers walking around and you're like, damn, I want to do that. And then you taught yourself how to walk. Why are we in a space where we're trying not to learn to appreciate each other or learn to love from each other? Why are we trying to separate so much? Again, speaking from an American standpoint, right? There's a lot of separatism and segregation and systematic racism in our life that some people who might say, I'm not racist, they don't even know that they are.
Yes.
So blaming them is not the fault more than it is to learn to change, be a part of the change. That's why I do it. I could have stopped training parkour years ago. Could have gave up. But if I want to see me or a version of me or greater in the future, I can't give up. I have to be that representation. That's why I'm excited when we talk. I'm not mad that you don't know me. Who cares? Who cares who Howard is? Let's learn about the Cosmonaut. Let's learn about what drives this individual to be the best version of himself. And we can talk about Howard later, the guy that died, the guy that, sure, you can learn about the struggles that got to Cosmo, Or you could just learn about Cosmo. We got to be able to stand bigger than ourselves, man. David Goggins and these guys that are out here leading this, they don't give a fuck what you think, but they love you just the same. They'll do anything for you, but they're not here to support your contrast or your negativity or your inability to learn how to love yourself, how to be consistent over this intense environment called America. Consistency over intensity. It's not just a physical discipline, it's a mental fortitude. I want to continue being that example, and I want others to learn that in themselves or that version of themselves. And fuck this shit. Change this shit. So get on the Daryl and the Dan stance. Get in the political stance. I can't do it because I'll start crying, dude. I'm too emotional in that way. I can't stand it sometimes, bro. Keep up the good work, Sam. No, get up, man. Don't ever stop this shit. Don't ever stop learning and finding out about others people. And we have the medium of parkour.
We do.
Damn. Sorry, hold on. I just thought of something that.
It's good, man.
All right.
It's good.
Just keep up the good work, man. We need this. We need people like you and like Lewis who are willing to just, and Brandon, but more like you and Lewis who are willing to step up and say, I have a podcast and I want people, not just to have it, which is nothing wrong with that, but step up, man. Step the fuck up. Step up and step out. And you don't have to do it like me. Maybe because of where I am and the position I'm in, I got to start exposing motherfuckers, but you don't have to do it this way. You can just continue doing it the way that you're doing it now out of the love and appreciation. But I've been doing this for too long for me to be denied. And it's not because I'm angry. I humbly sit here and I get looked over. Why? Is it because of my skin? Is it because I don't move like you? And if it's any of that, then fuck that. I'm going to change that. I'm going to get up there and I'm going to bring everybody up. And your bullshit ass ways of trying to be the only one, hopefully it'll get squashed out and nobody remembers your bullshit. But we all learn to live with each other, learn from each other, and not just see each other because of our skin or our inabilities to do something like you. Fuck you for being that way and not learning how to put across your ego and put that aside. I'm not good because I have an ego. I'm good because I don't let my ego get to me. If I let my ego get to me, I wouldn't run around in a spacesuit, motherfucker. I'd let you make fun of me like you do. And make that be my reason for not living. What the hell? I wasn't born in this country. You're not going to take me down. I'd rather live on my feet than die on my knees. And all this thought shouldn't be in parkour. But in the US, in the environment that I'm in the way that I see it, in the person that I am, like, here's a question for you, Sam. How'd you hear of me? How'd you hear of me? Why did you want to have an interview with me? How did you hear of me?
I attended the Obsidian Gathering.
Thank you. Have you heard of me prior to that?
No.
Now knowing that I'm here, should you have heard of me prior to that?
Yes.
That's my point. It has nothing to do with me. But because there's not a conversation enough. Shout out to Josh in Storo. He doesn't even know the representation he has here in the US.
Shout out to Josh, man. Yeah, I'd love to speak to Josh one day.
He shouldn't have to have that position, though. My point being, he doesn't need to hold any race or culture or anything on his shoulder.
I know.
He should continue to be free and happy.
Yeah.
But because there's such a lack of it here in the US, he's forced on a pedestal that he's not even aware of. Because he gets to work with those white boys often. Just that simple factor.
I'd love to speak to Josh. It'd be great.
Same, same. I would love to hear his thoughts, but
He's
right now, go ahead.
I was gonna say, like, I've followed him for a long time, but then I've only seen. It's funny how we kind of come around to the beginning. Like, I've only seen certain sides of his personality online in like minute snippets of his life. I've not had a conversation with him. I don't know who
I didn't
he
even
is.
know he was in music either. Yeah, I've again.
And I would love to. He's so humble. Like, I would love to.
Yep.
I'd love to talk to him. I'd love to.
The conversation I've heard as to why nobody rates him is because he doesn't move. He does like what he doesn't do park. He does like he's not strong in parkour.
Oh, fuck's sake! He's one of the most creative guys out there. He's awesome, snake style.
There you go. It's part of the attention. They out here looking for the biggest jumps, the biggest flips, the biggest this, the biggest that they can't see someone just creatively expressing themselves in the most unique way. Hence why dudes like Luke may have been overlooked for years until he wasn't.
Howard, keep doing your thing.
I'm definitely going to keep trying, bro. I'm not going to not stop trying. That's all I can do.
We could talk for a long time, but I am losing consciousness.
No worries, man. Thank you for taking this space. No, it's fine, man. Let's I'm going to finish out listening to the rest of your episode with Lewis as much as I'm going to finish listening out to some of the guests that you've had, because you've had some really, like, I don't know much about the European scene, only because I try to find the easiest way of saying this.
Go for it.
So wide. The Europe scene, in the way I'm looking at it from here, there's not the idea of there can only be this or only be that in that scene. Over here, there's this idea that there can only be this, there can only be that. So when I'm looking at the European scene, I almost am stuck again in the white wall. Oh, the people that everybody says is important. I have to like open the blinds to kind of see the Sam Altimas, to see
Shout out, Sam.
Yeah, dude, we'll talk here for all days if you're gonna bring up Sam. So I just kind of just put it out there. But there's some other dudes that I follow, and they're not necessarily black, but that it's almost like it's hard to see them. So what I do is I wait for a certain energy of them to come around, and it looks like in the example of, hey, you know who you remind me of? Or have you seen this video? Or YouTube might suggest the video. And that's how I learn about the European scene or the people behind the big names, right? And so I don't try to learn their names or know them, but there's some really great people that you have exposed me to that's where I'm like, man, I should have known about this guy. I'm so mad, but I'm mad because it's not enough of him in front of me.
Yes.
Or
So
her.
This is what is part of my project. It's like I feel like I have a good eye for treasure, and I want to just I want to uncover the treasure, man.
You're Indiana Jones. You're the Indiana Jones of parkour. There you go. I've now given you a title that I'd like to call you.
That's
You're
nice.
Indiana Jones, man, because that's what he does. You find that treasure and you pretty much get it.
That's what I'm trying, man. Yeah, I'm super interested in the people, especially who are not getting enough recognition, love, attention, however you want to call it. And that's it's such a simple thing. I just turn on my camera, I turn on my microphone and listen to people, ask questions. There's nothing to it.
And I will say in that light, the same energy that I'm sharing about how I feel like I'm not being noticed, I still get a lot of support too. I mean, that is kind of why I'm here as well. My likes aren't there because I paid for them. My likes are there because people still support me. So I still get a lot of love too, as much as the idea of me doesn't exist. But I'm more focused, like I said earlier, I don't really hear the boos or the nays because it's not about Howard, as much as it's about Cosmo.
Yeah.
So it's real important, the work that you're doing. And I appreciate you seeing the value in my discipline as well, you know, because I would think that George Hubbard
Mm.
and David, before like Sebastian and the idea, why they wanted to see it as a militant discipline is because they know it could save lives. It wasn't a leisure movement to get bigger jumps or better jumps, more than it was being a supreme firefighter or supreme, to be able to be, what's that term? To be strong, to be useful. Yeah.
Mm.
That's no longer a stigma or even a thought in the parkour community. It's to be flashy and cool and shot very well. But are they really strong? Are they really useful? Can they even do, again,
We're gonna
woo, the
Yeah.
idea of being, oh, I got to do these many things in this amount of time, that makes me best. So what if you can do that many things in that many time? That doesn't make you that you can save someone's life. Okay, do 30 million climb ups, do 30 million jumps in 5 seconds. So the fuck what? That doesn't make you good. That doesn't make you better. That makes you efficient and disciplined, sure. But does that make you capable? Fuck no. So these are the things that we're missing when competition gets exposed into parkour, or people win them, or the idea of someone doing better than the other, or using these stats to determine to say who is what.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Let's what was I going to say? Yeah, just briefly, because it's a really exciting idea. I have to shout out my friend Flynn Disney once again, because he came up with a really interesting idea about the lineage of parkour. And so you mentioned George Herbert, you mentioned David and Sebastian and Yamakasi. What's really interesting is that Flynn's looked a bit further. So people like David and, okay, maybe not George Herbert, but people like David were inspired by Bruce Lee.
Yes.
And you could then say that Bruce Lee is the godfather of parkour.
In that inspirational way, yes.
But then, going further than that,
who inspired Bruce Lee? Okay.
So there's a guy called Krishna Murti. I think I've got his name right. And Flynn has a theory that he is the great godfather of parkour.
Ooh.
And I watched, it's super interesting, man. I watched a really interesting talk filmed in, I don't know when it is, like pretty, like mid-century, like 1950, 60 or something like that.
Wow.
And it's Krishna Murti speaking, and it really moved me, man, because he was obviously he was a very spiritual and kind of, how can we say,
well thought out,
a tuned person, you know.
Okay.
He was definitely interested in life and the self and the soul, and it really moved me watching his video, because he's gone now, but like if there is some truth in Flynn's theory, then like we're still, like his words are like echoing like through time.
I want to see this.
Yeah, so like from him to Bruce to George Herbert to Raymond to David to Sebastian to Yamakasi, and now
I forget the name.
Yeah, and now we're here sitting and talking about it, and he has no idea. He had no idea the power of his words, and that's what got to me, man. That's like, yeah.
That's why I'm doing. That's why I say look beyond myself, man. It's from people like that. I don't know him, but I know a lot of other people in my own personal history that I follow or believe in that did the same thing.
Yeah.
You know, you got to think of it like, think of our last piece. Think of the Egyptians, right? They were building those pyramids to last for eons. They weren't building them for their time frame. They didn't learn about the stars and the positioning of these pyramids in relation to constellations for their own benefit. They were trying to live forever, right? So if you think of, if you think that everything you do is in the forever mind frame, you're going to do it big. And before you do it, you're going to measure twice and cut once. Right? That's why they were so deep. That's why these people who, okay, again, I'm in America, so I use this term a lot. Why these white people will go over to excavate these lands and then say, did they have aliens? How could they be so smart? Why can't they be this smart, white people? Why couldn't they have been that contemplative? Why couldn't they? Why not? Because you don't get it? So because you don't get it, they must have been primitive? Come on. Only the winners write history. We know that. And since you conquered them, you might be telling us a lie. But in the evidence of their work, it looks like they were thoughtful. And you got the Aztecs and the Mayans and the Druids. That's just examples. So I say that think about yourself and think about your work and your purpose in a legacy, long marathon format. Don't just think of the now or how good you are now or how good you can get now. Think about if someone found your work years later, or if aliens came to the planet, would they even care your name was Sam, or would they care about the work you represent on the planet? That's what we need to get to, bro. That's what we need to get to.
God willing, man. God willing.
God willing. All right. I do have one question for you, and we can end it.
Yes.
What makes you love parkour so much? What is your purpose?
A nice, easy one to finish.
Yeah.
I think honestly, the reason I love parkour so much is because it's the best tool I've come across to help me in some way realize myself.
Same.
It's because you grow up and you are swimming in potential. Mm-hmm. You are surrounded by potential. Your whole life is like, it's like electricity in the air. Like your potential is in everything. And what the hell do you do with that? You don't know what to do with that. You don't know who you are going to become. You don't know what direction. It's chaos. You don't know what direction you're going to go in. And parkour is like a tool that I picked up and helped me sculpt myself.
That's why I don't like when they call it a sport, because no sport can do this for you. Martial arts is a martial art. It's not a martial sport. You can turn it into a sport. But that's why I ask you that question, because I really believe you see love in this expression.
I do.
You see the self, the loving self in it. Yes, bro.
It's the self-love. Yeah.
It's not just physical feats and show offs and likes. It's literally how it evolves you as a person. And then you taking that into other aspects of your life. Martial arts and parkour and yoga are probably the only three things that I feel are even in balance. And if I had to put them in a category, it would be parkour first, even over martial arts. Even all the stuff I've done so well in martial arts, I'd still put the movement and discipline of parkour first, because of just what you said, the way it makes me learn to love myself more.
That's it, man.
That's it, bro. Good, man. I thank you. I'll definitely do what I did before. I'll promote your podcast and let people know that the episode's coming out. And
thank you.
Please feel free to, I say this often, I hope we have another conversation. It doesn't have to be on this format, but I hope I've gained an associate or a possible friend in this community of parkour. Because over at Parkour's Black Equity is an Instagram that I own. And I started that in relation to bring more Black people in parkour up front and letting their work be known. I hope that platform either doesn't need to exist anymore or finds a home in the community.
Yeah, I'll put all the links for people listening. All the links will be above in the description. YouTube, all the links in the description below. If you enjoyed this episode, which has been a whirlwind of an episode, wow!
I want to apologize.
No, please.
Okay.
Mate, no. This is the point where you don't apologize. I think
Okay.
I'll be super interested to listen to this back several times, and I'm sure.
I just went at the fire hose with you. That's all. That's all.
You should. I was just here.
I saw you
Just taking it, bro.
You're like, and
Just
I'm like,
take it.
damn, Howard, calm down. It's like he didn't know who you were, so he just had like a few questions. He didn't know you were gonna do this, and I'm like, all right. So
No, it's like you're speaking for your life, bro. I love it. It's amazing. It's really, honestly, really great, And when I'm in a more lucid state, I will have some more eloquent words to say about this. But for people listening, if you enjoyed this, you can hit follow on Spotify. You can hit subscribe on YouTube.
Subscribe.
And go and check out Howard's work. Go and check out what he's doing, his mission, his movement. Don't forget about his movement.
Yeah, just I would say follow me on Instagram at Only Black Cosmonaut. If you follow me at Only Black Cosmonaut, all one word, you'll find Blackstronaut, which is my parkour page. You'll find Parkour Black Equity, which is my way back to the community. And even you might learn about the videos and the rapping and the movement that I've done in relation to like my give back to the community, you know? So I'm out here. I want to be able to be a part of this history too, you know? And I want young Black men and young Black girls and people who feel ostracized. You don't even have to be Black, but just to feel accepted. I want you to know that you can be accepted in this art and in this discipline. Don't be afraid of it. Don't let the commercials and the camera fool you. There is a sense of love here. And if you don't find it, create it.
Lovely. Okay. On that note, thank you everyone for listening. Thank you, Howard.
Yes.
And we'll speak again.
Man. If not, then I really love this moment. So thank you so much, Sam.
I appreciate that too, man.
Thanks for the listeners for spending 1 hour and 47 minutes.
Till next time. Thank you.
Until next time.
There we go.
There we go. Parkour. That's how we say it. That's how we end it. Parkour. All right. Bye.
Oh, jeez.